Hey Procraftinators, welcome to the 25 Days of Christmas Collabs with Courtney Kreeber and friends. Today is day 8 and we are working with the Create and Inkspire November card kit, which is obviously a Christmas themed. So that is the stamp set that I will be using today, which is the North Pole stamp set, which is again part of the Create and Inkspire November card kit. So as you could see in my finished card pictures that popped up in the front of the video, I created a tri-fold scene card. And I gotta tell you guys, this card was a challenge. This video was a challenge. All of it was a challenge. Technology was not my friend this week creating this video and this card, and everything just seemed to be working against me. So let's get into the card and we'll talk a little bit about that. So I did stamp my first panel, and I did this to my first panel as well. I just didn't show it on screen. I don't know if I lost the footage for it, if I just didn't show it on screen. I don't know. I lost so many things. So I did start out with a larger panel than I needed because I'm going to cut this with my scanning cut. And I'm just making some marks here to show where I need to do my stamping. I'm going to have a 1/2 inch tab on one side of my card panel, and then I'm going to have a little bit of excess so that my scanning cut has some room. So on the second piece here, I have the 1/2 inch tab on the right side of my panel. On the first panel that we stamped with the snowman, I had the tab on the left side of my panel. And the tab is just to glue to the card base, or the card panel, I guess, because the card base is going to be different. Anyway, so I'm stamping the trees from the stamp set here, and I didn't want to do a ton of masking here, so I'm going to stamp out my first layer, and then I'm just going to take some Post-it note tape here and just mask off the trees, because they're straight lines. I don't need to cut out the trees to mask these. So I'm just going to do some masking and stamp some more trees and just fill out my little forest here. And that's all that's going to be on my second panel for the most part, is just trees and some snow. So I had planned this card completely different than how I'm doing it. I was going to bring it into Canvas Workspace, add some little shapes to make my snow, attach it to the bottom of the stamped images. I have a video on how to kind of create panels with your stamped images in Canvas Workspace. And if I remember, I will link it up in the iCards and maybe down in the description box below. But my scanning cut did not cooperate with me. That was technology problem, well, probably number 50, but technology problem number 1 that we're going to talk about. So I did come up with a way to fix that, and we will get to that in a minute. So I guess since I already have a video kind of doing that a little bit, this is another way I guess you can do that. If you're not good with Canvas Workspace, I'm going to show you how you can create panels to cut out in this fashion. So again, I didn't want to do a ton of masking, but this panel here, which is going to be my back panel, I did have to do some masking to do this scene. So I'm going to stamp the presents and the little North Pole here. Then we're going to mask them off, and we're going to stamp Santa's Workshop behind them. So I did cut my masks off screen. Some of these I already had cut. I don't remember if I had these ones cut or not. I think I did. I don't remember. Anyway, because I have been working with this kit already, I do have another video coming out. It'll probably come out before this one airs. I don't know. Videos are a mess right now. I've been crazy busy. So anyway, I did have to mask these, and then we're going to stamp this this workshop behind, because you do want to stamp and mask the images that you want in front first, and then stamp the images. And as you can see, I'm picking hair off my stamps because that is the life of living with 2 cats and a dog. Hair everywhere. I'm sure those that have pets totally understand that dilemma. I picked a lot of hair off these stamps this video. So anyway, we got that stamped out, and then I'm going to stamp the little ho 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 sentiment directly underneath. All right, so now we're going to get to making these little tabbed, I can't think of the word, but the little tabbed parts that are going to connect these to my card and make it a trifold. So I want these to be 4 1/4 inches wide plus a little 1/2 inch tab to wrap around and connect it to my card front. So I'm measuring out or not 4.5, 4 1/4, sorry, 4 1/4 inches wide, and then a little 1/2 inch tab to wrap around and attach it to the back of my card front. And then we will hide that by attaching the card front to my card base. So I'm just measuring out in pencil exactly where I need to draw all this. And like I said, this is the part that I wanted to do in Canvas Workspace, but my scan and cut was not being friendly. And so I'm just going to draw this out, and then I'm going to make some squiggly lines here to kind of represent the unevenness of the snow. And then I'm just going to draw in some straight lines to make this like this whole little tabbed piece. I can't think the word what I want to call this. This whole little piece that's going to become my card front. And when I get done drawing this all out in pencil, I will go over it with a black marker so my scan and cut can see all this, and it would make more sense because the snow that the snowman and the mailbox is sitting on is also done in black. So we're just going to finish out this little scene. So, and then I will do this also with the tree scene that we stamped out, because that's also going to be on a little divider. I can't think of the word that I want to use for this. I know that there's a better word for this, but it's just going to be another little scene. And we'll do that a little bit quicker. I'll have that piece sped up a little bit. But basically each little tabbed scene, divider scene, whatever you want to call it, one needs to have the little tab that's going to connect to the card front on the left, and one needs to have one on the right to make it a trifold, obviously. So now we're going to do this one a little bit quicker. I'm just going to draw out my little tab here that's going to connect to my card front. That piece is going to be straight. Then we're just going to draw some squiggly little lines to represent my snow. And then I already have my straight line here on the left-hand side. Then we're just going to draw a bottom piece that's straight, and then some more straight lines. And then I'm just going to go over it in a black marker again. And that's just going to finish off our little second tabbed scene, divider scene, however you want to, our little piece here. And then I'm going to erase my pencil marks, and we are going to take that over to the scan and cut this. So I left this piece in just to remind myself to tell you that I did ink blend the background of this piece, but I cut it out of the video because it was just some simple ink blending, and this video is already kind of long. So I didn't actually show the ink blending, but I did want to remind myself to tell you that I did ink blend the background. The colors will be listed over on my blog post, which the blog will be linked in my description box below. On my little divider pieces here, I did also ink blend some tumbled glass on the bottom here just to fill in what I'm not going to cover in this snow pen. All right, to the coloring now. I did do some simple coloring for the snowman. I used C3, C1, B00, and a colorless blender just around the edges, just to, because white objects do have some shading, and since snow isn't just white, it kind of sparkles in the sun and gives, some iridescent colors. I did add a little bit of blue just to kind of give him a little bit more color than just gray in his shadow areas. So that is just that. I did speed up the coloring quite a bit here because it is simple coloring and it's not the main focus of the card, but I know that a lot of people like to see the coloring, so I did leave it in. So again, I'm just putting some in the shadow areas. I am not a professional colorist or by any means, but I did just add a little bit here and there where I thought the shadow areas would be. And then I did take the colorless blender and blend that out so it's not such a harsh line. Excuse me. All right, so after we get done with the colorless blender here, we are going to move on to the scarf. And I'm taking the R59 and putting that in the areas that I felt would be darkest. Just a little dab will do ya. And then I almost put it away before I forgot that I needed to do the hat. So I'm just going to, again, do some in the darkest areas. And then I'm just going to do a little line right where his hat kind of scrunches up a little bit. And then we're going to move on to the R29 and blend out those dark areas with our midtone here. And again, I tried to forget the hat. I'm just going to blend that out a little bit more and just leave a small area for my highlight color, which I believe is the R24. And we're just going to blend that out and filling in the last little bit of the white area that I left. And I felt that the R24 was a nice contrast color. And then I'm moving on to the mailbox post. I'm starting with E49, which is my darkest color. And I just did the top and the bottom. I'm blending out with E29, and then I'm coming in with E39 and doing my highlight. And then I wanted to bring in the R29 just to color that little mailbox flag. And then for the envelope, it's so small, I just did a little bit of C3 and blended it out with the C1, just in little shadow areas. And then for the mailbox, and I'm sorry I didn't scoot the mailbox close enough until a little bit later so you could see what I'm doing, but I took the N5 and I'm just gonna put that where I felt would be the darkest areas. And I'm going to blend that out with the N3. Now for the inside of the mailbox, it would be darker, so I just used the N5 and the N3 on the inside of the mailbox, but for the rest of the mailbox, I did use N5, N3, and N1. And I did scoot that a little bit closer for you so you could see better. And I did forget the little door for the mailbox, so we're just going to go back and do that real quick with the same colors. And finish that up real quick with the N1. Then we're going to move on and put the snow marker down. Now for the instructions for the snow marker, it says to put it down and then let it dry. So that is why I'm doing this. I did find out that you actually don't have to let it dry. I didn't really see a difference if you don't let it dry. But since I had more coloring to do, I did put that down and let it dry. Now for the trees, I decided to use G29, G67, YG03, and for the trunks I'm using E49. Now for the trees, I'm not going to show you all of them, but I did take my G29 and flick it up from the bottom. And then I will come in with the YG67 and flick it up from where I left off from the from the G29. And then I will come in with that YG03 and flick that up from where I left off with the YG67. And I did find that, I don't think I showed it on camera, but I did find that it looked better if I went back over the two darkest colors a little bit and blended it a little bit more. And I forgot to do the snow marker on that one, but I don't remember if I left it in or not, but I did do it later. All right, so for the doors, shutters, the sign, and the roof, I don't think you actually see me do the roof. Some of the coloring on this one got cut off. My camera turned off and I did not realize it. So you won't see all the coloring on this panel, but for all the areas that would be wood, I use this combination, which is E49, E29, and E39. And for everything but the sign, I just flicked up the from darkest to lightest. And for the sign, I did from both ends into the middle, darkest to lightest. I didn't do any like fancy wood graining or anything like that. This is all pretty simple coloring, and I'm not really fancy enough to be doing wood grain texture or anything like that yet. It's not something I've tried, so I wasn't going to mess this card up. Plus, like I said, I had a hard time with this technology-wise and just everything-wise. So now we're going to move on to the red combination for these stripes, which is R59, R29, and R24. So since it's a round object, I started with my darkest color on each side and moved in to my mid-tone and then moved into my lightest color. So that was pretty simple. I used the same red combination on that present, but that's one of the things that got cut off on this video. And so for my white combination, I used C3, C1, and the colorless blender. And again, use the darkest color on the outer edges and then move in, going lighter to the middle. And I think the actual North Pole sign got cut off too, but I used that same combination for the North Pole sign, doing the same thing, darkest to lightest. And then we're just going to add the snow, because here it is all colored. And if you need the color combinations for these, everything that I colored, those will also be listed over in my blog. The link will be down in the description box below. And this is a Marvy Snow pen that was included in the Create and Inkspire card kit. I'm just adding a little bit of snow around the present to kind of make it look like it was set in the snow. And then when we get done, we're going to set this aside to dry and move on to the rest of the card. I did get some bubbles and I wasn't sure if those were going to pop on their own or not, so I did use a pin to pop them. So when I cut this out on my scan and cut, I removed it from the mat, and then I put a plain piece of paper right in the same place that it cut these images out on, and then I just told it to cut again. So I had another one because I color on an 80-pound Classic Crest Solar White, and that is really not sturdy enough for using as a card base or whatever, and these are technically kind of card bases. So I wanted to double it up and make it stronger. So that is what I'm doing here, just gluing these pieces together. And at this point, I have already set the snow on the snowman. I will show you setting the snow on another piece. I just didn't figure that you needed to watch it on all of them. I think I've also set the snow on the Santa house and everything. I will show you the snow setting on the trees, I believe. So we're just going to attach that to the back of the card panel here and make sure it's good and set, and that the bottom of the little panel with the snowman on it lines up with the bottom of the 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel with the Santa's Workshop. Make sure everything's good to go. And then we've got the trees here. We're going to glue the second layer onto the back of this to make it sturdy. And as you can see, I don't have snow on my trees or on the bottom, so we're going to add the snow and set this. And so you can see how that all works if you have not used a Marvy Snow pen before. So if you haven't used the Marvy Snow pens before, while I'm folding this and everything, it comes out very liquidy, and to get the liquid out, you push down on the nib of the pen, and it will come out really fast. So if you don't want a ton on your project, I suggest that you push it down on your glass mat and then kind of dip in it like a paintbrush. I wanted a ton on the bottom underneath the trees, so that wasn't a problem. But I wouldn't like push down on it on the tips of the trees because I didn't want a ton on the tips of the trees. So as you can see, I kind of go down into the snowbank and every once in a while and get some from there. So also you need to be careful when you're heating it that you do not burn it. I didn't burn it on this card, but I have in the past using this product. The first time I used it, I burned it. So keep your heat gun moving and just really watch it. If you do burn it, you can actually add more on top and then just heat set it again, and it's not a big deal. Then you won't have brown snow. So as you're going to see me do here in a minute, I decided that it wasn't puffy enough on some of these trees, so I went back and just added more on top. And so you can just add more on top. It's not a big deal. So if you burn it or you just didn't get as much dimension as you wanted because you didn't add enough, you can totally just go in and add more on top. It's not a problem. So that's why I left that one in because I could show you that you can add more on top. So now I'm just going to attach my trees in the same manner that I attached the snowman panel. Just add a little bit of glue to the back of my little tab there, and then add the tab to the back of the card panel. And then I believe we are going to get out a white card base and attach this whole thing to a card base because I decided that there wasn't a whole lot of room to write my personal message on the Santa's Workshop panel. And so I decided that I was going to just, instead of just adding this to a flat panel, I'm just going to add it to a regular card base. And then there's plenty of room to add a nice message and anything else that I want to add. I might stamp Merry Christmas on the inside later or something. I was running out of time here due to all my technical difficulties and everything that I had with this card. I was running out of time. So I just needed to get it done and start editing this video. So I hope that you enjoyed the card for today. And don't forget, this is a part of Courtney Kreeber's 25 days of Christmas collabs. So if you didn't come from her video, be sure to go check out what she did today. The link to her video will be in the description box below. Also, if you have not checked out the November Create an Inkspire card kit, be sure to go check that out. It's available on the Create an Inkspire website. I will have the website linked in my description box below. And as always, have a great day.